So the semi-final lineup at the year's last slam is complete. It will not be Rafael Nadal versus Roger Federer as everyone had expected. Juan Martin del Potro will instead stand between Nadal and a fourth US Open final. Whoever goes through is destined to face a first-time Grand Slam finalist as 12-seed Pablo Carreño Busta faces 28-seed Kevin Anderson in semi-final 2. Both will be playing their first ever major semi. Right, for more on the goings-on at the US Open, we're joined by former India tennis player and coach Enrico Piperno, who joins us from Kolkata. Enrico, thank you so much for sparing your time to speak to us. All through the US Open, the build-up was to the Nadal-Federer match that New York has never seen. But when Juan Martin del Potro shows up in New York, he's the only one who writes his own script.
Yes, Yash, let's put this in perspective. You know, Juan Martin del Potro is a Grand Slam winner. He's a guy who's done there and been there and done that. And we all know the potential that that man really has. He's fought injuries for the last so many years of his career. So if he's healthy, he's going to be a serious threat to anybody in the draw, whether he's seeded 28th or he's unseeded. So he came out with all guns blazing. It was a Del Potro night. I think he dominated the most of the match. I know the match really swung in that third set tiebreak. But in that fourth set, he was just devastating. A couple of forehands that he hit, I've never seen a ball hit that hard. You know, Federer was actually taking a defensive action at the net. So the simple thing is it's right simply that he's won a Grand Slam. He has the potential, he has the pedigree. And I don't see why he cannot go all the way at this US Open the way he's playing right now.
Yes, it takes a foolish man to take Juan Martin del Potro lightly in any contest, as so many of the big weights in this men's draw, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Murray, have seen over the years. But did you also feel, Enrico, watching the match as it turned out this morning, that Roger Federer was clearly not at his fittest? It's something he admitted to himself when he spoke post-match. He spoke about not being at his best and was very honest and candid in admitting that because of the way he was playing, he probably did not even deserve to go through to the semis.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most honest interviews I ever heard Roger Federer ever give, where he felt that the better man was in the semi-finals. Yes, he was not at his best. He was not serving as well as he normally does. And I thought he was a little slow at the baseline. He was not moving as comfortably as he did. Maybe there was a little bit of a niggle there, a certain injury which he's not admitting to. But he was definitely not the Roger Federer we known at the beginning of the year when he was absolutely on fire at the Australian Open and everything else that happened after that. So possibly maybe a small injury, a little stiffness or whatever you may call it. But in that fourth set, it was all Del Potro. You could see it was just a question of time when that match was going to come to an end. Federer, when he missed that overhead and then he missed that easy forehand volley at deuce, were through signals that he was not at his best at all.
Yes, now while Federer wasn't at his best, as you rightly pointed out, Enrico, if you look at Rafael Nadal, his quarter-final was the absolute contrast. He was barely tested once in that outing against Andrei Rublev. Many expected, while it would have been a bridge too far for Rublev to probably oust Nadal, you would have thought he could have given him more of a fight, but Nadal looked to be playing at his ruthless best.
Well, I honestly think Rublev was a little overawed by the situation. You know, he's a man who's beaten Dimitrov, he beat Gonfin. He had really big wins leading up to this quarterfinal. But, you know, his body language right through that match wasn't that great and he was always struggling. Nadal was at the top of his game, he was serving well. And the depth of his ground strokes right through those three sets was incredible. They had Rublev on the defense, he was about 7-8 feet below the baseline. And Rublev really didn't have any answers to the depth and the power of the Rafael Nadal ground strokes.
Enrico, if you go by the last two matches, Rafael Nadal's had it fairly smooth. If you look deep into the numbers, probably the only weakness that you kind of identify is that he's wasted a lot of breakpoint opportunities. While it didn't make much of a difference in the last two rounds, now when he goes up against Juan Martin del Potro, someone who's as lethal when he is carrying the momentum that he is right now, how vital is it going to be for Nadal, even as world number one, to convert every single opportunity that he earns?
Yes, very vital. And I think it's going to be a very, very close encounter. And I believe 1 or 2 points, probably the third set or the fourth set, are going to make the big difference. So like you're right, you're absolutely right. He needs to play those big points a lot better than he's been doing if he's going to beat someone like Martin del Potro, who's coming into the semi-final very, very hot.